What up, guys? So it's been a little while since I've did like an update on my shoe situation. I thought you guys might somewhat be interested in knowing what is it like to run in the top of the line shoes out at the moment. And whereas I don't have every top of the line shoe, I wanted to do a comparison between one of the top of the line Adidas, top of the line Nikes, and top of the line Sauconys, and then go down to the bottom of the barrel with a pair of A6, like JCPenney cheap $60, just flat out EVA compression molded cushioning. Now, whereas they are soft, they didn't fit that great, but they're actually pretty decent to walk around in. But there's nothing special about them, and that's why I wanted to take a little jog around my apartment complex circle to compare every shoe. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm trying to think what order what to do this in, from what I think is the worst to the best, or the best to the worst. I think I might start off with I think I'm gonna start off with the Ultra Boosts, the most expensive. So I'll go from most expensive to cheapest. That's what I'll do. And the Saucony Freedoms are about the same price as these. The problem with wearing these is the characteristics of the 270 is so different than any other shoe in the lineup, basically due to the heel offset. So actually, you know what, I'm gonna have to take these out first because all the rest of the shoes' heel offset is similar. So this will throw the results off greatly if I don't wear these first, because these would have to either go first or last, and I'm actually gonna take them out first. So without further ado, I'm gonna put on the Air 270s with this massive heel unit, go take a jog, come back, and then repeat the process over and over again, and share the results with you and tell you what I really think. And I'm gonna tell you what I think about Ultra Boost versus Saucony's Freedom series, which you just ever run. And I already have some conclusions about that, and I'll tell you what they are at the end of the video. I'm back for my test with the Air Max 270s, and I have very confusing results with basic jogging, walking, and sprinting. Now, generally, if you are a runner or you're looking to start running, from what I've read online, the proper way to really run is having a mid-foot strike. Now, you may debate that or not, but that's what I've read, and that's how I'm sort of gonna go by this test. But I did incorporate rear foot striking as well, because some people just naturally rear foot strike. So sorry if I'm a little winded, but it is what it is. I think my legs are a little sore from the gym, and my calves are a little sore as well. So I was feeling some strange like foot fatigue, you know, where the top of your foot's a little sore during at least with this shoe. Now, let's examine something here. These are not a good mid-foot strike shoe, and I'll tell you why. When you mid-foot strike, it basically is negating where all the cushion is in this shoe. And this was so obvious while I was jogging. I mean, it's completely obvious, with no doubt in my mind. These are a terrible mid-foot striking shoe. And I would even say they're not a very good forefoot striking shoe either. Although when you sprint, you know, say you're running really fast, the heel does come into play here. So they're okay at that, but they're a very, very, very awkward full-out sprinting shoe that I honestly, for whatever reason, my ankles didn't feel safe in this shoe to sprint in. It's just hard to explain why. Now, as a casual shoe, it's a complete winner. Walking is great. walking with this heel unit is also great, and heel striking at a decent jog pace is also good. It just has what I believe, there's basically a middle section here that separates the huge air unit from the traditional cushioning, which everyone said it should have been their new React system, which that wouldn't have worked, and I'll tell you why. This would have been way too soft. It needs some support up here. Now, if it would have been React, I don't believe it would have worked, because this heel unit's it's soft enough. It's just a different kind of soft. It bounces back. And that's gonna get onto my, I have a point about Everrun versus Ultra Boost. And there's a big difference. At least from what I've felt wearing the Ultra Boost and then wearing the Everrun. So that's the conclusion about this shoe. Great only if you heel strike. So you have to be a heel striker when you jog, or it's a good casual walking shoe. And midfoot strike is so bad in this shoe. It was actually hurting my ankle, because you're basically running about right here, giving you like almost like a dead zone. There is literally a dead zone here, where this is sort of, this is hard here. You know, it's not meant to compress here for whatever reason. Now back here, your foot's sinking here in the middle, and the air will completely compress. I mean, I can't push 130 pounds right here, but this is far more weight here to get this to compress. All right, guys, Ultra Boost. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ultra Boosts next. All right, guys. I didn't need to do a long test for the Ultra Boost because I've already had them for a while. The longest test was for the 270. So here we got the Ultra Boosts, and immediately the difference is so noticeable. And not only like comfort, it's the midfoot striking. So just using my natural, got a little leaf in here. If you can tell, the bottom is relatively flat, see? So you land approximately there. And since Ultra Boost is soft everywhere, it evenly compresses everywhere. So it's kind of funny because rear foot striking in these is somewhat different than if you mid strike. I really prefer mid striking with these. Overall, everything really works. Oh man, that's the problem with going to the gym all the time and not doing cardio. Okay, I gained some weight, but cardio is down the tubes. So now onto the Everruns, one of my favorite shoes of all time throughout my life. And when I get back, I will tell you why. The Ultra Boosts, I mean, they're popular for a reason. Not only do they, I wouldn't say they all look good, that's subjective. It's just because they're comfortable in literally every situation. Walking, running. I can't see anything about anything long distance because I'm not a long distance runner. So, you know, people talk about, my feet are all ripped up, got blisters everywhere. That's eliminated from my whole test. This is just, hey, like I run a little bit, or, you know, how does this shoe work for like walking around casually? Say you go to the mall, say you go to like an amusement park. So far they're all winners in the casual category, and you already know my Nike Air Max situation. So let's get on to the Everruns. I really wanted to take a little bit of longer break here before I review the Saucony Freedoms overall. Because man, my feet, I'll show you the spot. My foot up on top there, it's just burning for some reason. Okay, so what I really should have done is I should have taken these out second, because after the Ultra Boosts, your body has to adapt to less cushion, but like less cushion as far as inches goes. So if you look here, you'll see that there is a little margin of, well, there's quite a margin of cushion here. There's just more heel drop with the Sauconys, and I don't know if this is 8mm or lower, but they don't even talk about that as far as on the Ultra Boost. But like Saucony, you know, usually they list like a certain heel drop, which they didn't even do on this one either, but they did on my other ones. It's like an 8mm offset. It's supposed to be a more natural gait, so to speak. I don't have a tape measure with me right now, so bear with me. So after the Ultra Boosts, these were a bit awkward on my body. However, I will say I know what they were going for with the Everrun versus the Ultra Boost. See, Everrun is firmer than Ultra Boost. However, not by so much that you would be like, oh man, this is just a solid shoe. You're not gonna say that. What I feel in the Everrun is more energy return. So it's less soft overall, and there's less actual cushion. As you can see, it's a fairly, you know, it's more of like a free running shoe. It's not meant to be like a big, heavy, ultra plush cushioning running shoe. It's meant to be like barefoot minimum running shoe with the highest possible technology, and I think that that's where it excels. And I love this crystallized rubber, as I said before, because it just grips like no other on like asphalt or like concrete. It just grips. You just feel like just so much grip, more than any rubber I've ever witnessed in my life. But it is slick as hell if it gets wet on like tile. Holy mackerel. Be careful. So that's its drawback. It feels like a lighter overall, more natural running shoe than the Ultra Boost, because it's just, there's barely anything here. It's lace. It's like a little, the tongue is still like a one piece into the whole system. Not quite like the 270. The 270 is very hard to get into. The hardest shoe by far to get your foot into. Once it's in, it's in. But that's it. I mean, this shoe is such a great flat foot running shoe, and unlike the Adidas, the heel drop on this, since it's lower, it feels a little more natural to heel toe in this. So overall, this has the most natural feeling running aspect to the shoe. Maybe it's just the angle, and a lot of these shoes are also, so I mean, you know, some shoes get all fancy and they cut a big section in the middle out to save weight, but all these shoes here that I really like tend to not do that now. So it's almost like the fad is dead, and they just stick tread over the whole shoe, and that's that. So there is no XT900 rubber on here. It's all just one piece, the same type of rubber. There's no blown rubber. It's all one type of cushion or one type of rubber, and it works. So far, overall, my favorite shoe, really. I mean, probably of all time. I did not expect it to beat the Ultra Boost when I first got them, but then I put them on and I was like, oh crap, we have problems. All right, on to the next shoe, and that is going to be the ISOFIT Triumph ISO 3. And this does have Everrun. However, the Everrun is only right below the insole, so it's, you know, your foot is pretty much directly having contact with it, other than the insole. But the rest is just traditional Saucony type EVA blown, whatever it is, compression molded. It looks compression molded to me, although it's pretty firm, believe it or not. And then we have the blown rubber on the front. and I think I don't actually see anything stating that it's XT900 in the back, but it does say, actually it says XT900 up here, so the very front is not blown rubber, which is interesting. But they don't make any reference to the back section being it, but I would assume it just would have to be, because it definitely feels harder. It feels similar to the front, so I assume it is. Alright guys, I will be back. Alright guys, so I'm back with the Triumph ISOs and very familiar type run. Both this and the Ever runs have actually a similar feel, but somehow, believe it or not, where these appear to be a little bit more solid, they don't feel that way when you're running them, which is fairly strange. I attribute that somewhat to the Ever run inside. It's like the basic footbed is Ever run, although some may say, oh, they cheaped out and they didn't, have the whole thing in Ever run. I sort of disagree, because that's where the freedoms stand out. So they probably wanted to have, like, they knew what was coming. Who knows? I have to say though, whereas when I first got to Ultra Boost, I made a video and I said, oh, it puts these to shame. It really doesn't. My views have actually changed, because for some reason just running in Sauconys feels more natural. It's just something about the transition, and like I said, I'm not sure if this has the 8mm transition, but it possibly does. I mean, you can just Google it. I know the other ones did. My old ISOs. Let me go grab those real quick. So here's these. Now these do not feel that great anymore. These are beat on, and these do not have Ever run in them. So, and I even have a $14 sock liner, and it didn't really help, honestly. If anything, it made it feel a little more like weird and strange. But like, okay, I believe they have the same offset, whereas this one has been like worn down a little bit, as you can see here. See that dirt? It's sort of compressed. And this is like a crash pad, so it feels, I mean, frankly, they feel the same. Plus, this shoe is known. This first ISO with the power grid is nothing. So this is basically just a running shoe with no real technology built into it, unlike the ISO 3s. This got ragged on, even though it was comfortable. I really did like it, and I think it's basically the design of the crash pads, the way that they were just placed. Everything worked out, and they're very worn out now. I only basically use these now for like washing my car and stuff. But they've had their day. They're pretty much retired. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because they put a lot of other technologies into it. They actually called this something, I can't see it in the light, but there's this little orange piece here is actually like something to do with how the crash pads go in, and it's like a little rubber thing. None of this means anything really in the long run. We're here to talk about like the natural running abilities of these. And now this one, like I said, great flat foot response. My foot didn't feel jarred when I landed, and believe it or not, the Nikes were the only ones to give me a little bit of ankle problems. I don't know why, but when I started running in them, I felt tweaks that I haven't felt in years, and I had a feeling that might happen when I got them, but I wasn't 100% positive until tonight. Whereas like I have zero desire to ever run in the 270s. Now, would I wear them out to go out to eat, to go to the mall? Of course. They're very comfortable to walk in. They're a bitch to get in and out of, but once they're on, they're pretty much secure. These are very easy to get on in as well. This is just, but the sad thing is that these aren't new and they're not really top of the line shoes. But this video is getting a little long, but I'm gonna do it real quick. I'm just gonna take these out for a flat foot run. And forget these having gel on them. Gel is junk. Some guy did like a test even on like one of the top of the line shoes, and they put like this much gel like as crash pads. It's so minuscule and minute. I can't think that unless the gel is literally the entire heel, then maybe. But I've felt the gel in those top of the line Asics, and it didn't really. It felt very strange and awkward, if not too stiff even. I can't remember the name of it, but the Nike has these shoes that it's just like, it sort of looks like the old Shocks, but it's not. It's like harder little pylon things. Those things don't even move. I don't know how people wear those things. Those are solid as hell. All right, guys, I'll be back. Now, I didn't do much testing on these because I've worn these for a while. These are old. Gel Excite 2. Now, there ain't much I can say bad about this shoe, other than it's such a basic running shoe that there's not much that goes into it, and you can tell basically. The styling is just so basic. It's cheap. There's hardly anything cool really looking about it, and the front. What I don't like about the front of the shoe is that it's almost awkwardly wide. Like, it's hard to see the difference here, but here you can see if I line them up as best as I can. Actually, if I line them up the best I can, you can tell like it's longer than the Saucony's, and my foot lands in an awkward place here, so the front kind of slaps against the pavement. However, taking that aspect away, I don't even know what size these were. These might be 8.5s as well, but they feel a little big. These are actually great. I mean, it doesn't have any fancy rubber. It's just basic hard rubber. Nothing special about it. The rear says A hard, which is even harder. But the cushion is so soft and basic, old school. But it works, which is frankly hard to believe considering I have top of the line shoes here, especially the Nike 270s that don't feel as natural as even this shoe. The 270 is just, it's so awkward, and that's one of the things I was thinking I might regret. Nike is a lot of all show and no go, in my opinion. I've had some great Nikes. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nikes I loved, but then I started, experimenting with different brands. Saucony being one of the first shoes I started really falling in love with as far as lately, because of the 8mm offset. Then the running, it just seems more natural, and I'm not even a runner, so that's my point. If you're a runner, you're really gonna feel the difference. And these Gel Excite 2s, when I first got them, I was like, wow, I'm kind of surprised. Like, these are cheap running shoes, like $60. And I believe that you could actually get some life out of these as a runner. I don't know if they even make this version anymore. This is probably like, it could be up to the Gel Excite 3 or 4 by now, and I don't know if they changed it or not, but they really didn't need to. Certain shoes they just don't need to change. Like, this is just one of their cheap lineups. It flat-footed okay. It just felt like decent, like it didn't feel like absolutely crazy wonderful, like the Saucony's, the Freedoms. Well, and then of course it doesn't really hit the level of the ISO 3s either, but it's a little more just, it's almost on the level of those, but $100 less. So it's like you start to think like cost versus value. And there's, you know, maybe more value in getting something cheap. And that's just up to you guys. And the style of this shoe is terrible. Not only is it like one of my most unfavorite colors, just like a black, gray, ugly shoe. It's to me, this is just an ugly shoe. Not enough green. Like if I wanted a lot of green, I would go with something, you know, fancier, where somebody will say, "Hey, nice shoes," which I've had compliments on these. People all the time are like, you know, what are those? Because they're the limited run. So overall, guys, I kind of was going to have some conclusions, but I think I've said enough about all the shoes. Sadly, I'd almost say in last place would be the Nikes. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm actually blown away, but it's the only shoe that like sort of was tweaking my ankles. And I had an old injury way back in the day, and it felt like it was causing it to tweak. And then by the time I'm done, you know, 20 minutes later, I even stick on some generic Asics, and they felt better. Now the Asics do feel clunky. There is something clunky about them, and I think that's due to they just slap on the hard rubber everywhere. Whereas if they would have separated some things and done some things with that shoe, or possibly I would have had a different model altogether, they even would have been better. And I've tried on other Asics and liked them, but not enough to just keep going with the brand. So some of them felt very awkward. Even like some of the top of the line ones, they did something where I just couldn't wear the shoe. I forget what it was. Something with either the pinky would rub or whatever. I just couldn't wear them. And they were comfortable. I just couldn't wear them. They're shoes that I just can't wear. Whether or not it's like you know, sometimes shoes, your ankle wants to come out. I believe this has memory foam, actually. Maybe it doesn't. I thought it kind of feels like it does. You'd have to look that up. I know the Freedoms don't. All the shoes fit completely differently. Besides the ISO, all the ISOs fit similar, except for the Freedoms are more minimalistic. So you have a little less foot support, but yet the shoe is lighter at the same time. So it sort of equals out. The Ultra Boosts that I have are like the all-terrain version, but it's like a mini boot. It's easy. It's easy to get into because it stretches. And then we have this, the hardest shoe to put on, because this huge supportive air section here, plastic unit, and this is not flexible like as you just saw in the Ultra Boost. This is not flexible. Your foot goes in and it is locked in place. And I have to say that this is just the most awkward running shoe that I've worn in a while. Now it's on a better level than many of the other Nike running shoes I've tried on. It does beat those, but like I said, 4-foot running in these, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. When I went to put these on, then I went to the Ultra Boost, my foot were like, oh man, thank you. But these look cool. They're sort of retro. I love the Air Orange unit, cushion in there. It's soft. It's like, I like looking at this shoe like almost the best. It's ridiculous, but like visually, I love it. The front, feels like it's compression molded. You know, Nike has their own Phylon system. It doesn't really stand out in any way to me, the front. The heel does, but the front doesn't. But they're good they're good to walk in. They're good casual shoes, but I really feel like they're shockingly bad at running. It's strange. That's just what it is, guys. That's my wrap up. You've seen them all. I'd have to say these are first place. These two are the mixed bag. It's a hard decision because they're so different. These feel more natural. These feel like, okay, I don't know why. It's hard to explain. It's the Everrun helps, because if it didn't have the Everrun, it would just be almost like a standard cushion shoe. I think the tread design helps. The way that it bends, it just instantly flexes where you need it to. This one is very flexible as well. I mean, this is like there's nothing. I just think Everrun is so soft that it doesn't feel natural. Like you're not meant to, like you feel like it's too soft. And when you run hard, it doesn't really bounce back like the Everrun. But it takes the impact. So it takes the impact, but it's not quite as bouncy as Everrun. But there's just so much of it. It's still a good shoe. It's got the Continental rubber. I believe that the traction will last a long time. I might have to start trying to wear these out as a test. It's one of those things. I will say that, like, if you wear these on a daily basis, you get so used to them, you almost don't want to wear anything else. It's the way they just no, the front is a little stiff, but you don't feel that when they're on. It's very strange. I can't explain it. It's just they feel stiff, whereas these don't. I mean, these bend much easier. But yet when your foot's in them, the way that it compresses and the way the rubber is, it just works. So getting used to these every day is actually the best thing that I have right now. Getting used to these. You can't keep switching shoes every day. Your ankles will not like it. At least that's for me. Especially if they're vastly different. Like the Air Max to these, it's crazy. Your feet freak out, your body doesn't know what to do, you gotta adjust. I'd have to just wear the Air Max every single day to get used to them, and that's something that I really wasn't planning on doing. I was almost planning on maybe reselling them because I really haven't used them. I've used them in like 2 tests, and I have worn them to the gym once where no traction is lost in the gym. It's basically they're just on my feet while I'm working out, and that's it. Alright guys, that is this long video. It's just like my epic shoe video that I've wanted to make for a long time, and I hope you enjoyed the content. Obviously I'm not getting paid for it anymore, so it was just for fun. It's just been my like lifelong passion, just shoes, just cushioning and everything. So until next time, hope you guys enjoyed the video, all 10 people that watch this video.